Okay, so here it is, launch day for Alphacore #1. And I gotta say, all around, I'm gonna give this Ripperverse launch campaign a super thumbs up. I think this was great. The rollout was really good. It was really smooth. There was a few people that I believe had issues, but nowhere near what it was for ISUM #1 and ISUM #2. They had a unique system set up for the launch where there was a queue. You saw how many people were in front of you. When your time came up, you had 10 minutes to select whatever you wanted to select, get your books, get them in your cart, and check out. And it went super smooth. I was able to select what books I wanted, thumb through everything he had, select what books I wanted, add them to my cart, check out in a matter of I think I was done in 4 minutes. I got cover A and cover C, and it didn't take any time. I was actually very surprised. I mean, I know he said he was putting a lot of work into this campaign and into making sure that the website didn't go down. Kudos to Eric July. I got to give him a hand. He definitely did a good job. Alphacore #1 might be the biggest hit on Ripperverse thus far. Now, maybe it's not. I'm not saying emphatically that, yes, this is going to be the best thing Ripperverse ever put out. I don't know, right? So I'm not saying that emphatically, but I would not be surprised if it is. He has made $600,745 already. That is outstanding. His pre-order campaign goal was 300,000. If I'm not mistaken, from checking earlier today, that 300,000 was blown out the water the first hour, well blown out the water. So, I don't think any of the other campaigns made that much that quick, but I could be mistaken because really his campaigns do so well, it's hard to keep up. Now, look, and I understand he's a very outspoken dude. There's many people who don't like Eric July because he's outspoken, and some people can't separate their disdain from him from something that he's putting out that happens to be good. There's people who I don't particularly care for personality-wise, but I can recognize what they did right here, yeah, this was good. I'm definitely rocking with that. I understand some people don't really parse that out, but I like to parse that out. Like I said, there's people I might enjoy their art, but not enjoy them as a person. And I think that's some of the issue that some people have taken. Now, maybe that's not it. Maybe it's more than that for some people. I don't want to, proclaim that I know what everyone is thinking, but this launch campaign, oh my goodness, this is a good one. This is a really good one, and it has me excited. So we're going to go and see what he has going on. So here you see it. Alphacore #1. And here's another thing. I believe when I was watching one of his live streams today, I believe he said this launch trailer was actually all done in-house. So for the ISUM #2, there was a cartoon launch trailer, and I believe he had an external entity do the cartoon, and I believe this one was done all in the house. It definitely looks slightly different, but in some ways the same. It's almost like stop motion cartoon with live action, if that makes sense. It's cheesy, but in a good way. There is a certain cheesiness about simplicity that makes things good. And I think many modern cartoons and a lot of modern art miss a little bit of that simplicity. Some people might differ from me on this, but when I read ISUM #1 and ISUM #2, I got some of the same feeling I got when I read Cat and Mouse #1, 2, and 3. By the way, I read Cat and Mouse 1, 2, and 3. Oh man, what a story. I'm going to make a whole nother video on that because that deserves its own video. But anyway, I like the simplicity in the art. Now, I'm not saying the art is simple and that it's not good. There's not too many lines. Some art, I believe, gets drowned out by all of the lines. Like you almost can't make out what you're seeing, and there's no depth of field because there's so many lines. It just gets confusing. And I did not get that impression when I read ISOM number 1 and 2, and I have a feeling that it's going to be the same with Alphacore. So you see it. He has sold 3,301 cover A, 2,175 cover B, 2,173 cover C, 2,336 cover D. Sales 200% of his campaign goal. 5,005 total purchases. $600,745 is what he's made so far. The pre-order campaign goal was 300,000. Again, blew that out the water. We'll watch that campaign trailer as well. But on the side here, you can see all of the different books and the different covers. I really like these covers. You know, I don't have any Rippaverse shirts. I may have to buy a Rippaverse shirt. I may even have to check out and buy a Rippaverse hoodie. I may have to do that. So I believe he said there's limited copies of these graded and signed copies of Alphacore number 1 left. I can't remember exactly how many. I was watching a live stream right before I recorded this. But yeah, man, this is really dope. This is really dope. I'm excited for him because I can only imagine he never expected this amount of success when he launched a Rippaverse. I'm sure he knew that there would be fans. There's people who follow him, who appreciate the things that he stands for and really wanted to see him succeed. But this level of success right out the gate, I mean, think about this. He is 3 comic books in. The first 2 were multi-million-dollar campaigns, and this one might turn out to be a multi-million-dollar campaign. Again, you see, I believe this is some of the interior panels. Let's see, yeah, interiors. And so all of this is drawn by Joe Bennett, great artist. And I think Joe Bennett was actually a good choice for Alphacore. Joe Bennett, of course, drew The Immortal Hulk. Great book. Great book. I wish I would have caught on to that much sooner, but I'm late to the party, I'll admit. Chuck Dixon, of course, writing the story, the legendary Chuck Dixon. And Chuck Dixon has created an original character for the Rippaverse. And so check this out. So here are the benchmarks. If he reaches these benchmarks, he will do certain things. So at 300,000, the reveal of Yaira number 1, cover A. So that's already reached. 500,000, Gooding, Plymouth, Gooding, Polymath, cover A, reveal. That's already reached. At 750,000, you'll get production starts on 3 new Rippaverse books. At 1 million, Rippaverse Studios shirt added to the campaign. I could see myself buying one of those. At 2 million, future animation promise. At 3 million, reveal of new Chuck Dixon book. Now that's one I would love to see. 4 million, promise of future toy and or statue. That's interesting. 5 million, release the Eric sketch. Oh, wow. So yeah, got some interesting things to look towards or to look forward to if these benchmarks are reached. And of course, some of them already have been reached, which that's astonishing. So anyway, let's watch this trailer and maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you won't. I thought it was pretty good. I like the art. It's a callback to cartoons of old. And you see what I mean? It's animation, but it's almost like stop motion in some respects. I like the way they did this. And I like the narration. It's very hero-esque, right? Like noble. So this is what's crazy. I believe this is scenes from ISUM #1 when Yaira first showed up. Nice. I like the way this is playing out. Yaira was getting busy, putting in that work.
Then why are we just now debriefing?
This mission is not complete.
I only know of her. Our lack of data collection is a problem.
Valdez, I'm aware of your investigative talents. Braxwell spoke highly of you, and that's why you're on this team.
I like the dialogue. It's simple, very hero-esque. A lot of nobility coming out. I like what they're doing. Like I said, cheesy, but in a good way. Oh, yo, this is a scene from, for those who haven't read it yet, from ISUM #2. It's a good scene too. ISUM and Bloodruth.
Some believe themselves to be good. Others don't even attempt to act as if they are.
Alphacore out here getting busy, putting in work.
Either way, we're involved.
It's just it seems like just fun comic book stories.
But that can be said for anything.
Bringing fun back to comic books and cartoons. Oh, she kicked the dog snot out of that dude.
And failure is not what we do.
That was good. It felt, I don't know if you got the same feeling, but it felt pretty grand. Like there was some a grand stage thing going on. And I have a feeling that's what they were going for. And I think they achieved that goal. Overall, I think this launch has gone very smooth. I think it might make, this might actually make more than ISUM #1 and ISUM #2. Those were good books, in my opinion. Not everybody's cup of tea. So I think what'll happen eventually is the Rippaverse, much like Marvel and DC, like I don't like every character Marvel or DC puts out. There's certain books I just won't buy. I'm not interested. Just not my thing. That might be the case here where people didn't like ISUM, just not their, the art they didn't like, not the writing style they liked. But I think Alphacore might actually garner a bigger audience. And look, Yaira may be an even bigger audience. And who knows, Gooding might be that sleeper hit. I think he's hitting it out the park with having characters that are dissimilar enough that everybody will get something that piques their interest, right? Alphacore has that team element. Some people like teams. ISUM is more of a loner. Don't really know much about Yaira yet, but she's like a rogue. That might be something people are interested in. And who knows what direction Gooding is going to go in. That's one that I'm like, I'm interested to see exactly how that goes. So, overall, I think this is a very good launch, a very smooth launch. You can tell there's money being put into the Rippaverse. The money that the Rippaverse is making is being put back into the company. And you can tell that there's thought involved in bringing quality art, quality entertainment to comic book fans that have been lacking in those areas from some of the bigger content houses. And again, this brings attention to the independent comic book space. And though Marvel and DC tend to suck the oxygen out of the room and smaller creators don't really get attention, something like this garnering the success that it has, I think will redirect people's attention maybe to some of the independent creators like Silverline Comics, and people will realize, okay, if I'm not being served here, there's other avenues I can go. There's other places I can go to get the content that I'm looking for. That's a good thing. I don't want Marvel and DC to fail. I want them to succeed. And I think more creators is better for us, the audience, because what happens is if you have more product out there, somebody's going to put out something you want. And if company A falls by the wayside and doesn't put what you want into the creative space, then you can go to company B. And company A, realizing that you can go to company B, they're more prone to say, okay, we can't just go off the deep end. We got to give the fans what they want. This is what they want. They want good content, no nonsense, good content, good art, good stories. They don't want any artificial propped up stuff. Just give them good art, good content, good stories. And in my humble opinion, this is exactly what the Rippaverse is doing. And to the Rippaverse, the whole team, you guys are doing a magnificent job, in my humble opinion, and you deserve your flowers right now. And I'm saying that I think this is good for all of comic books. I'm enjoying this.